Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of English in Practice. It's Kareem with you, your English teacher. In today's episode, I'll talk about some common abbreviations that we can use in both spoken and written English, so keep watching. The first thing or the first question you might be asking yourselves right now, what is an abbreviation? Now, you're right. You need to know the meaning of an abbreviation in order to understand what this episode is all about. So, what is an abbreviation? As a simple answer, an abbreviation is a short form of a word or a phrase. Let's have examples to understand what an abbreviation is. As you can see on the screen, we have two abbreviations. The first one is AIDS, the second one is CNN. Now, these are called abbreviations because they are short forms of the group of words that I'm going to teach you now. Now, AIDS stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. CNN stands for Cable News Network. Now, these abbreviations are basically called abbreviations for the reason you can see right now. Now, these abbreviations are the short forms of the words I just said, or the words you can see on the screen. However, you should also know something else. These two abbreviations are of two types. The first type is called acronym, and the second type is initialism. What are these? Let's see what they are. Let's look at the same examples we had. We had the example AIDS and we had the example CNN. Now, AIDS is an acronym. CNN is an initialism. And how do we know that? The difference is very simple between these two. AIDS is an acronym because I'm pronouncing these letters as a whole word. CNN is an initialism because I'm pronouncing the letters separately, C-N-N. I'm pronouncing each letter, one letter at a time, separately. But in the case of AIDS, I'm basically pronouncing the whole thing as one word. I said AIDS. I didn't say A-I-D-S. Now, let's look at the difference. The difference is in the pronunciation. AIDS is pronounced as AIDS, one word. CNN is pronounced as C-N-N, as separate letters. Now that we know what an abbreviation is, let's look at some examples of some abbreviations, and let's try to guess whether this abbreviation is an acronym or an initialism. So let's start with the first one. The first one we have is, I believe, very popular, NASA. As you can see, NASA has four letters, N-A-S-A. However, I pronounced it as one word. I said NASA. I didn't say N-A-S-A. Now, this tells you that, yes, you are correct. This is an acronym because, again, I'm pronouncing the letters as one word. Now, what does NASA stand for? This is an abbreviation, right? So it should stand for a group of words. NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It's basically the US organization that is responsible for space and travel and space study. Notice that I used US, and notice how I pronounced it. I said US. I didn't say us or yus or whatever this word can be pronounced. I said US, which means if you're thinking of an initialism, yes, you are correct because this is an initialism. It stands for United States of America, of course. So this is an example of an initialism. The next abbreviation we have for today's episode is UFO. As you can see, I said UFO. As you can see, it's three letters, which means this abbreviation is basically the short form of three words. The first word is unidentified. The second one is flying. The third one is object. Now let's imagine this. UFO is an abbreviation that we use when we look at the sky, we see something that is flying. Now, some people use this abbreviation, UFO, unidentified flying object, to refer to something that is flying in the sky, and people believe that this flying object, this flying spacecraft, let me call it, belongs to another planet. Basically, it comes from another planet. This is when we can use the abbreviation UFO. Now, the next abbreviation we have for today is Scuba. Now, as you can see, I have the abbreviation Scuba, and I will tell you what it stands for, but notice the way I pronounced it. I said Scuba. Now, I could say S-C-U-B-A, but this is wrong. Actually, this is how people have been pronouncing this abbreviation. That's why it is an acronym. If you are thinking of an acronym, then yes, you are correct. Now, this acronym stands for Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus. Now, what is that? What does it refer to? Now, as you can see, abbreviations are very helpful because every time I want to talk about this or these words, I don't have to say all the words again. I can just simply say the abbreviation, in this case the acronym Scuba, and everyone would know that I'm talking about these words specifically. Now, what are these? What is Scuba basically? Scuba is basically the container that you have on your back, that you wear on your back. Now, this container has oxygen, of course, and it has a tube that is attached to your nose and mouth so that you can breathe underwater when you dive. Before we continue with the abbreviations, I'd like to draw your attention to something very important. Let's look at these three letters, LOL, or some other people would say LOL. Some abbreviations can be both an acronym and an initialism at the same time. But how does that happen? Well, this basically or simply happens because some people prefer to pronounce this abbreviation as separate letters, one letter at a time, LOL, and some people say LOL. This abbreviation can be both an acronym and an initialism. Let's have an example to see how to use this abbreviation. Now, let's have an example to see how to use this abbreviation. LOL. I waited for a whole minute in the lift, but it didn't move. I realized that I had not pressed any buttons. As you can see, I started this sentence with the word or with the abbreviation LOL or LOL because I think that this event or this situation was funny. Like, I intended to tell you that as a joke. Another one on the list is WWW. As you can see, I'm sure that you have seen this initialism a lot. And remember, this is an initialism because I said WWW. I didn't say whoa, for example, or I didn't pronounce the three letters as one word. Now, this initialism is basically used at the beginning of websites addresses, and it stands for World Wide Web. The last one on today's list is GIF or GIF. Now, some people prefer to pronounce it as GIF and some others pronounce it GIF. It doesn't really matter. You choose the way you want to pronounce it. One of these two ways, of course. Now, as you can see, this acronym, and we say acronym because I'm pronouncing the three letters as one word. This acronym stands for Graphic Interchange Format. Now, this is basically a type of computer file that refers to a still or moving picture. So, today we looked at what an abbreviation is. We looked at the two types we talked about in this episode, the acronym and the initialism. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and learned something new today. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.